Well, welcome back to the Dirt Journal. It's been a little while. I'm glad that you can join me. We are at the Major Family Farm. So this is 4 generations of work the soil. My grandparents, my parents, me, my kids, and my sister's kids. So some announcements for this series is that I'm not going to monetize it anymore. The Dirt Journal. I just don't feel like at this time and point it's necessary to monetize it, and that way it's a little bit funner to watch. Everybody hates commercials, right? So that's one thing for sure. I'm really glad to be able to make it here at this time of year. I keep traveling right during the middle of summer, and these coastal valleys of California, they bloom with all the water of spring and stuff, and then it gets really dry, especially this year in a drought year. So I've come by and filmed everything when it was getting planted before. Actually did that again this year. I haven't got it out yet, so it's going to be next. We're going to go back in time and look at this and then look at it now. So it's going to be kind of a long video. It's going to be another thing about these videos in this age of TikTok and shorts and everything else. The Dirt Journal is going to go ahead and be long videos because this is a quest for details. So that's one of the things, one of the conundrums. Okay, a little bit later in the season. I don't know when you'll be seeing this, but it is May at the Major Family Farm. So nasturtiums are up, and cherry trees, everything, all the fruit trees in this portion of California are doing okay. It's going to be a dry year, but as far as bloom set, it did okay. This is all planted up. The plastic that you see is for both weed control and moisture retainment. Amaranth, purple, and then the green that you see is either a large amaranth or what people call a pigweed, which is the same thing. And then the largest of the family being a quinoa. It's great for birds, ornamental, and then they're also little fine seeds that you're getting in your multi-grain foods. These are, of course, they're all tomatoes up. These are all in manifolds that are movable every year. Pieces. The baskets on each one to hold them up so you can get in between. Some things I actually don't recognize what they are. Oh, there's some kids coming through the garden. Those can be dangerous. Here we have either celery. Yeah, it looks like probably celery in the front. Different kales. Rhubarb. Tomatillos. Those might actually be wild, just kind of coming up out of the dirt. All edible flowers growing throughout the garden, but marigolds are also awesome because their roots have little nooses that catch nematodes. So that's why you'll see them sprinkled throughout old timers' gardens. Here we have, looks like beets. That must be beets, and then I believe we're going into Swiss chards, and then larger Swiss chards. Here we have a sprinkler line. Has I see basil of different flavors here. Basil patch. And then these are the different flavors of chard. We have ragged jack kale. And then well, maybe a dinosaur, just a regular. And then some sort of brassica creature in the back there. I don't know if those are collards or broccoli or what's going on. One of those creatures. Big old black mulberry tree, and then here's the rest of the garden. We just kind of came in and wandered off to the left here. Olive trees. So this is third generational. The kids that just ran by are actually the great grandkids of the people, my grandparents. So they'd be their great-grandparents, because that was my daughter and my nieces. So these are all apple trees in a row that me and my dad actually, this row here we rescued from properties when we worked for a construction company together, and I was the operator and he was the dump truck driver. So we would just bring things home instead of killing them. Ground is literally purslane, pigweeds, plantain. We have more cucumbers. These are all on the trellis here, so they'll be growing straight up. And then we have zinnias and Cosmo. It looks like probably Cosmo, and then zinnias. And then you can see the eggplants, tomato, row of peppers, row of tomatoes. There'll be a row of peppers on the other side of that. Tomatoes, sunflowers, amaranth. The reason why we're doing it, they are doing it in individual rows like that is because things like gophers that are wiping out a lot of the plants this year, and pests like insects that eat plants and stuff. It's a long ways relatively for their size from here to like way over there. So if they particularly like feeding on one type of plant, then you're not necessarily monocropping a whole area. It's a way to plant a bunch of one thing but not monocrop it. And that's the benefit of it. One of the main benefits is that the negative factors like pests that would come along don't just have the next row and the next row. They have to either eat a different type of plant or travel by tunnel or expose themselves, or if you're a bug, travel that great distance over to the next stuff. So as opposed to having, when these get big, their leaves would literally be touching each other. So if you have some sort of blight, plague, any sort of issue going on, that gives you the distance to kind of break it up. Anything that might be affecting one area, you have more chance of it not affecting another area if you want to ensure that you get some things off. Now this is an arch that my sister does every year in a different spot. So this year it's over here at the edge of the garden. You can see this, the property actually ends right behind there. There's a fence line. It's only just as wide as to that covering we were just over under there with the green. So, I don't know where those apple trees are. To there, it's long and skinny. The entire property is only about 1.5 acres, and then this huge, what looks like a massive growing area here is just the back, a little part of that. So probably 1/5 of an acre or something. So we have what? Borage, the blue, zinnias, cosmos. Is it forget-me-not growing in here? I think so. I see we have feverfew. This is great. People who have migraine headaches will know this one. It can be an even lighter shade of chartreuse and puts out, something that looks kind of like a little daisy or kind of like a little chamomile. But yeah, it's one of the cures for migraines. Calendulas, little teeny tiny wild calendulas, and then hops growing all across the top of this. That's what these are. There's a stinky little flower. It's beautiful leaves, so that's just this year's growth. She put those little babies in, and that's how quickly they have grown. They're already going to fluorescence here. You can see with their little hairs all over them. And then I have an actual sheathed out little flower here, so that's what you put in beer, and gives it that hoppy flavor. Yeah, and the bees are loving that. It's a tunnel of goodness. It's just buzzing along. And yeah, all the flowers are about to open. This is still early spring. Hi, Zeke. This is Zeke, the wonder dog. It's been on the front page of newspapers and everything. True story. True story, huh? No? Yeah. A tunnel of goodness that'll be completely covered over next time you see it. And yeah, greenhouse, front tomato patches, the greens over there. then row after row. Cucumber patch here. Looks like we probably got watermelon, I think, or a squash. It's probably squash growing on the other side of the strings there. And then all these trees you see are actually apricots and plums and peaches. A big Santa Rosa plum. These are my scabious that I sprinkle on the whole world, so you'll recognize these from my property if you see any videos of that. Each plant, each one of these flowers you see turns into one of these seed pods that has 1,000,000 seeds on there, and every single one germinates. So warning, warning. More cucumbers on a trellis here. Yeah, the mulberry has green mulberries all over it, and then these turn big and black. And sunflower. And then these are littler sunflowers in front of it. These are for bouquets, so they're a smaller, multi-headed, so they're supposed to be that size. And then you have a variety of different colors and stuff going on. Not to mention, then you have this pollination strip that is just drawing in a massive amount of pollinators to do all of the spreading around and fertilizing of the rest of your plants and your fruit that might have less attractive blooms. A lot of the vegetables have evolved to have not such a large bee attracting bloom on there, so that draws them in from afar for sure. So we have more tomatillos I see mixed in here. This must be dahlias. Okay, I was trying to figure out what kind of vegetables. So we have flowers on this side, so this will literally be a row of flowers. Peppers, all sorts and flavors of peppers. Back underneath the olive trees by the all of the greens again. The back of our garden is actually the back of the whole property is where the willow is there. There's a fence line and the hops trellis growing up. So it's just this gardened plastic area right over there, right on the other side of this tree. Long and skinny. And then next time you see this, you won't be able to see much of the plastic at all. It'll be all just deep green. Almost 90% of the plastic gets covered up. It's already got its blooms on it. And walk down the center row, more cucumbers. Tomatoes beyond. You see they already have fruit happening. Another strip of flowers. These look like a tomatillo in the background here, and then we have sage mixed in, big row of sage, tomatillos, and then these weeds are actually the only ones that we let go throughout all the years, and again they're inedible. These are actually a garden salad plant. And off of menus, just here they are a weed, but a more desirable weed. And then this is the production tomato patch. So that's just tomatoes. Spots. Pear, another big black mulberry. So these trees my grandpa actually planted 4 generations back now. There's the corner of the property. This is the whole deal. For those of you who have seen all this before, thank you for joining us again, for sure. Blueberries. There's a blueberry farm that was doing a deal on blueberries this year. So my sister and Shane went and dug, what, 20 large blueberry bushes. So those are incorporated. And then we have a bean row. Looks like a pea row beyond that. Blueberries, beans, peas, beautiful purple looking peas. And then this is the hops all the way up to an arch. This is just another shade of those Scabiosa, it's a morning bride, is its other name. I found those on a roadside a long time ago and have spread them around everywhere. Good stuff. Okay, I always include my sister's Instagram, the Family Farm Instagram, at the end of the video, and she just does massive, beautiful shots of all the different things that she does, the different projects. She does a lot of beautiful botanical art and art projects and planting projects, and is just a maniac about it. So definitely check her stuff out if you're into gardening, into backyard homesteading, any of those things. She was raised real, like me, doing it here. And wow, you see what this is? This is a chard plant that grew so tall that it's growing in between the plums. These are all plums and apples, but that's chard seeds that grew up from down there up through all of this. So there'll be chard seeds for sure. And I can continue to tell you what's going on here a little bit. There has been, you know how life is, it's like one of the best years for the property that I've seen. So many cool projects going on, all that, but then at the same time, of course, you know, life strikes. So this is where the story's a little sad for this year, and I'm going to go ahead and share it. I don't share it in my other series with rocks and treasure hunting and stuff, but I feel like maybe this is the correct crowd as far as the Quest for Details subscribers. So I feel like everybody who's here watching this is part of my main core as far as people who I see comment and follow along. A lot of you end up watching these videos, so I appreciate that. And so what's going on with my sister, who's her end of the family. I of course don't live here. I live about an hour from here, and my sister and her husband have some family issues going on. My sister and her husband, so about 4 weeks ago now, my sister and Shane, Shane is the person that you've seen with me in the early videos on the channel. He's my work partner when I was building huge masonry walls and all that. That's Shane. He, you know, helps my sister take care of all this, of course. And his father and his father's partner live up in Eureka, and they have been diagnosed, both of them, in about a month period with terminal cancers. And so for any of you who have dealt with that, you know that, or any sickness in the family, any health issues, you know that it's complicated. You have to start figuring out who's going to do the caregiving and everything else that needs to be organized, especially with something that's a mortal issue. And so all of that is being dealt with. So of course, right as the garden got going, and my sister does CSA boxes, and she does a full fruit stand and all that, they have to not be here because they need to be up north taking care of stuff, which I'm sure all of you can understand. So that just is what it is. I needed to say that. My dad, something else I also don't advertise on the channel, is himself a two-time survivor of lung cancer. So he's had a full left lobe removed and then went into remission and cleared for up to a 7-year period, and then had another onset, which was going on during the beginning of the channel, Quest for Details, and which I didn't bring up a lot because I tried to keep this channel pretty positive, so I don't include a lot of the things going on in life. And so anyhow, he has now had a section of his lung removed again and is about 3 or 4 years in remission and coming up clear every time. And also has been in, about a year ago, not even a year ago, when I was up in Eureka filming that series of videos with a whale, he was actually in the hospital for heart issues. He's had to have shunts put in and stuff like that. So we do have all of that going on behind the scenes. And just wanted to let you know what was going on with the farm. My sister's, of course, multimedia person and just has a lot on her plate. And I totally respect both of them. They've done a great job. They're doing a great job. Shane, my work partner, and her husband, when he first moved to this property and he was 19 years old, already went through the same scenario. Got a phone call. It was his first time he had moved away from home, and it was his mom being diagnosed. And there was a very short period of time between then and her passing. And so I've already watched him go through what I described many times as some of the hardest things I've ever seen somebody go through. Now I'm watching him get called up about his dad's partner, and while his dad's partner was in the hospital, his dad had a stroke and was trying to recover from the stroke. They diagnosed him with the terminal cancer. So I wasn't sure if I was going to share all of this. Like I say, I feel like you're the right crowd, and I appreciate you listening. And let's go look at what my sister and Shane have done while they were here, and they did have time this season. Yes, these are all hops hanging from here. And they're just growing over the entire arch. Look at that. The smell coming off of those is just insane, and it just creates bushels and bushels and bushels. These have all grown. Look how thick these are, just coiled around here. All this mass. There's also huge hops vines in the very back of this garden. And this is all edible flowers, of course. And that's what I mean. There is a little bit of deadheading to be done, so you have to excuse that. I feel like I'm catching her unprepared. But everything's in its full bloom. So these are all cosmos and zinnias. These are the different shades of cosmos. Not just different shades, but the different shapes of petals too. So if you like any of these things, she is very much into variants. So you can see these are all different types of cosmos. And then the zinnias, and there, of course, a lot of these are open pollinators, so they're mixing around and around each year. And then, wow, yeah, more golds and whites. Sunflowers, that's what the outside of the hops arch looks like. Lots of flowers mixed in everywhere. We have here, this looks like red runner beans, the scarlets. We have zucchinis going off. I'm assuming, yeah, zucchinis. And I love fried zucchini and squash blossom. I'm just one of those people. Look how big these are. Running all throughout here. This massive patch of them all the way out and around. Peppers. Like I said in the other videos, these are all planted dynamically so that everything's spread apart and flowers mixed in everywhere. Those look like big old, maybe Jerusalem artichokes, big sunflower creatures. And then all these sunflowers. These that you see everywhere are the amaranth. Same family as pigweed, and then quinoa is the big one. These are lemon cucumbers that you're seeing all throughout here. There's a little round. I'm actually gonna keep that one. But yeah, look how massive these creatures actually are. This is what it is, and then this row of stuff here is all fruit trees in the back. And the size of these rows of flowers here. So the bees are happy. Yeah, here's the pigweed, so that's a smaller amaranth. Of course, it's in huge form here because it snuck in with the other stuff. But when it's colorful, it's used as food and decoration. And then this is the mulberry, and it is loaded up. So all these that are dark, oh, these are so soft. They're so hard to get off here without mushing your hands up. Oh my gosh. And yeah, they permanently stain clothing too. So we're gonna go for one that's a little less ripe. They're kind of sour like that. Oh, there's a perfect one. If I wasn't sweating already, sour stuff will do it. Look how many are set this year though. Here's this one, then that'll get ripe, then that, then that. Every tip of every branch is loaded. And it's really, they're just like a blackberry, but big, and whoa, just so much flavor. So much flavor, holy moly. Okay. Yeah, and we are marked, we are guilty. We're talking a massive tree of mulberry. So and there's that one and that one. So these people are serious about their berry trees. Just good. I love the different shades. How it's ripe and then almost ripe and just being born, and they just keep popping them out and popping them out and popping them out in waves like that. It is just one of the craziest fruit-bearing creatures that you could think of, a berry tree. This is the tomatoes. They are all coming in, so you gotta let them get a little dry in this region to force them to start producing, and then we soak them down again. But that's one of the techniques to get them to go ahead and fruit. This is the business side of the bushes here. Tomatoes are the same way. I love how there's the ripe cluster and then it moves through to the going to be ripe. Look at the very baby ones just coming out of bloom, and these have swollen up, starting to get ripe. But yeah, boom, all the way down. This is bean land. A row of blackberries here on the back fence line. And they're actually producing heavy this year. Everywhere you look, it's just fruit, fruit, fruit. Look at this blackberry cluster. Just, there's some healthy berries right there. And thank you to Sarah and Barry Brown for helping out during this time when Emily's been gone and Shayna been gone. It's really just my sister, who's my little sister, Her husband, who works, he has a full-time job. And my mom and my dad. My mom works full-time still, 6 days a week, in fact, in the medical field. Didn't get to stop during COVID, even though she was supposed to retire because she worked for the state. So she's been working this whole time, is working. That's why you don't see her in the metal detecting videos and stuff so much. Because everybody is staying busy, living life. Look how big those are. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful colors. Okay. And I point that out because this entire thing that you see in all the greenhousing and everything that goes on here is run by that few of people. So just to give them credit for it, there's no army of other helpers that we don't mention or anything. There's just main people working on this because they're here. Yeah. These are all white sages mixed in. Olives woven in with the giant multi-headed sunflowers, still climbing to the top. Haven't even opened yet, even though the bees are waiting for them. All these are open. Massive, massive tall. Peppers, these are all peppers that you see. Get these purples, they're just gemstones, for sure. And then back here are the hops pillars. So they go literally, what, 30 feet up in the air here, and have grown into the willows. And these are all hops. Let me get you out of the sun. But yeah, boom, boom. That's how big those can grow in here. From a little baby creature all the way up this. Look at the size of those vines. See that? It's as big as my finger. Look at these. And they're just hanging on cables from an upper cable. That's massive. I mean, look at this wad of vines in here. Give that a little shake. Yeah, just blowing in the wind. And then the wall of beans, got sunflowers behind there. Oh, here they go. Wiggling in the wind. They just seem so cool because they're so huge, and there's just this vine of hops. For any of you hop lovers out there, there is a shot for you. It's like looking up from the bottom of a kelp bed, you know? It's that same sort of pretty.